While the worldwide pandemic has shut down large portions of the American economy, an increase in boredom and a general rush for excitement has prompted many people to dip their toes into the murky waters of stock trading. The closure of casinos, the lack of sports, and sports betting has forced many people to look for their rush in a different way. Exploring the stock market via commission-free trades has resulted in an explosion of new money entering the market. The Robinhood app is primarily responsible for this jump, offering new users simplified and easy-to-use tools to essentially gamble with. But while buying stocks and selling is exciting, there's another financial instrument offered on Robinhood that will amplify the excitement and dopamine rush: options trading, or generally known as derivatives trading. While most brokerages screen and limit those who have access to options and other derivatives, Robinhood surprisingly lets users trade these risky products with a simple click of the button. Options, unlike stocks, require users to guess both the direction and time a certain stock will go up or down. If you can get it right, the results and gains are monstrous. 100, 200, 300, even 1000% gains are within the realm of possibility. But just as everything else in life, this comes with added risks. If your option bet goes wrong, it's very possible, even likely, that you will lose 100% of your original investment. Many prominent investors have argued against the use of options, especially giving them out to college kids with less than $1,000 in their Robinhood account. Here's Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's right-hand man, explaining why he thinks options in general are pure insanity.
When they put in the options exchanges, there was like one letter saying you shouldn't do this. And Warren Buffett wrote it. Mm-hmm. And he just said, this is not doing any good for the wider civilization. We don't need this. Derivatives trading with no central clearing brought back the bucket shop. But tell me, because you could make bets without having any interest in the basic security. And people did in the billions and billions and billions of dollars. So we had a system in the professions and in the regulatory agent and some of the most eminent and most admired people in finance, including Greenspan, argued that derivatives trading in the form of the old bucket shop was a great contribution to modern economic civilization.
Now, the Federal Reserve is
There's
working...
one word for this. It's insane.
Warren Buffett echoes his opinion as evident in this following clip. But while he's without a doubt a Hall of Fame investor, it's also evident that out of all his thoughts and ideas Warren has about finance, this one draws the most criticism. Watch the clip and I'll explain later.
If it works well, it's dynamite to start playing with things that can expire and become worthless or can be bought with very low margin, as the OAX options you were talking about. Borrowed money usually or frequently leads to trouble, and it's not necessary. I mean, if you had some compelling reason, if you had to double your money by the end of the year or be shot, then I would head for the futures market, because you need to do it. I mean, you have to introduce borrowed money, but you really ought to figure out how you can be happy with the present amount of money you've got, and then figure that everything else is, all to the good as you go along. I don't think people, once they start focusing on short-term price behavior, which is the nature of buying calls or leaps or speculating in index futures, once you start concentrating on that, I think you're very likely to take your eye off the main ball, which is just valuing businesses. I don't recommend it. Charlie?
Well, this is a group of affluent investors, and I don't think many of them did it in leaps.
Yeah, it's certainly true. If we'd operated Berkshire with considerable borrowed money over the years, it would have done very much better than it has, but nobody knew what that amount of borrowed money the appropriate level would have been, and it wouldn't have made any difference to us. I mean, we have just as much fun doing what we've done than if we'd owned it on leverage and had been twice as much. I mean, it's not the way we approach it. If you have X and you think you're going to be way happier when you've got 2X, it's probably not true. You really ought to enjoy where you are at the point, and if you can make 12 or 15% a year, and you desire to save and you like piling it up, it'll all come in time. And why risk losing what you need, and have for what you don't need and don't have? It's never made a lot of sense to us.
Warren wrote a letter when they were.
While Warren is very right on some things, he's also ignorant in putting himself in the position of a college kid with $1,000. This is money that will otherwise be spent on other forms of gambling, and if you're going to spin the roulette wheel on something, it could easily be argued that playing options on Robinhood is going to give you the best odds possible. You see, just as Warren said, options give you the advantage of leveraging your position without actually borrowing money. You pay for the leverage with risk of losing your entire bet. When you buy a stock, you risk losing a certain percentage, but you can always wait to sell it for more. With options, you're on a ticking time bomb. Your bet needs to hit a certain parameter, and if it doesn't, it expires worthless. While this fact generates serious consequences for banks and billionaires meddling in the derivatives market, for a kid in college, it's perfectly acceptable. No different than going to your local casino and betting the NFL spread with a greater, more realistic payout. As user 00 Gambit put it so eloquently, the only reason Buffett doesn't agree with options is because he has billions already. Us mere peasants only have our normal salaries to invest with, so our buying power is terribly weak. This all brings us to the story of user Covert Elite, who over a 3-month period took $7,000 and made 600 grand, and then proceeded to lose nearly all of it. According to his comment history, Covert Elite deposited $7,000 right before the news of the pandemic brought down the entire US market. While most were swept away by the news of shutdowns and deaths, Covert Elite bought put options that did very well, accurately predicting a downfall in the US economy, Big Short style. This action resulted in profits of $100,000. Unlike most sane people who would have stopped and cashed out, Covert Elite continued and made $100,000 into $600,000 over the course of a 2-month period. It was at this time he decided he's had enough and cashed out a portion, $100,000 of his $600,000 to his own personal bank account. At this point, he decided to go big, claiming that $600,000 was nice, but it wasn't retirement nice. He was aiming for the stars, and if he had taken $7,000 to $600,000 according to his logic, it would be easy to take $600,000 to a couple million, enough to live the rest of your life perfectly. From here, things went downhill fast. His predictions never came true, and the market continued to blast upwards, ripping apart his calls and causing nearly $493,000 in losses. As seen in this post where he bragged about the loss, Covert Elite is another casualty of Wall Street Bets, a forum dedicated to outrageous option plays that often result in new millionaires or broken spirits. While taken back by the downfall, Covert Elite can still rest easy with $100,000 cashed out, but with the knowledge that he had life-changing money at his disposal pissed away, I'm sure the psychological. Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed, and comment below with your thoughts.